Week 13 has been a crazy week with Tesla reporting earnings and this week Meta also reporting earnings. And the market's been up and down. I'm still trying to make that weekly income. And what I wanted to do in this video, as always, give you an update on where we are year to date and then tell you how we've done for the week and then provide a detailed breakdown of the companies I've been trading as well as how I've set my strike prices and all that kind of good stuff. And all I ask for return is that you smash that like button and don't forget to subscribe because I've got weekly videos on this. And if you are brand new, the playlist is down below. So if we start with the year-to-date cumulative income tracker, as of week 13, we have accumulated 11.7K against a goal of 13.3K. So we are 1.6K down, which is 12%. We have managed to kind of keep it quite flat over the last 3 weeks since I've now been assigned 300 shares of Tesla and 100 shares of Meta and starting to sell covered calls on those positions. So unfortunately, those two positions have continued to go down over the last week or so, especially with Tesla releasing earnings, which we'll go through in a little bit. Having said that, as I mentioned, week 13 again is my one, two, three, four, sixth week where I have achieved over $1,000. So I just missed the week 13 goal of $1,029 by $12. And for those who've been following me, might see this new additional column here, which is the monthly total. So as you guys know, the goal is obviously to make, just over 4 grand a month. But what I said right at the beginning, back in week one, is the minimum goal is to make at least $2,500 a month. And the reason for that is we've got rent, we've got gas, we've got electricity, we've got food, we've got all these other different things that we need to make sure that we get paid. And having searched the internet, the average kind of roughly is for those kind of expenses is around 2,500. So fortunately, I've managed to hit that for the first 3 weeks. I'm obviously behind because I've only had 1 week of week 13 so far of the fourth month. But it's good to see that I'm able to still generate a sizable amount of income. Again, I'm only 12% behind, where if the market starts coming into my favor slightly, then, we can look to hopefully crawl that back. I still have 12 grand left of capital to use. That's up slightly from last week because I've rolled down a Meta put, which we'll go into. So there's still capital to deploy to, get me over my weekly goal. And I'll probably look to deploy that. I'm just waiting for earnings to come out of the way, and I'll start looking at various things that will what we can do to kind of deploy that 12 grand in a very safe and secure manner to at least pick up an extra $20 to $50 a week on there because that could go a long way in terms of where we are versus the overall goal. So in terms of from a trading perspective, as always, I always post a screenshot of my trades, which I then put into these more easier to read tables. So if you guys want to pause the video and have a look at the trades and all that kind of good stuff, you can do. Breaking down Tesla, Tesla is probably the easiest one to understand. I have 300 shares at $282.50. Tesla's currently trading at $222. So for the last couple of weeks, I've been selling covered calls. So a covered call is I'm willing to sell my 300 shares at X strike price. And you can see that I've been selling covered calls way below my cost basis because if I was trying to sell at the 282.50, the premium is not as high because we are way out the money. And for price to get to $282.50 is very unlikely, so the premium is not going to be that big. So I've been taking risks and selling it at 240, 235, and for this week 225.50. And as you can see, the reason I'm going down is because Tesla's been going down. So if we head over to the chart on Tesla, we can see that they reported earnings and they dropped around 6-7% on earnings, and that's primarily down to missing the EPS goal by 528 million. But what you can see here during kind of week 14 now, the market has kind of picked up with a massive rally day. And we are quite close to the $222.40. I do believe, however, that if I do go to Tesla, Tesla is down. It's only down by 1% pre-market, which is not a bad thing for because I obviously own the shares, but it's also not a good thing because we're quite close to my strike. So what we want to be doing is looking to kind of roll this up for next week to still pick up a decent amount of premium. From a technical perspective, you can see here that we have a miss pivot here. We will more than likely have a missed October monthly pivot here because there's no way near it, which is a good thing. So we've got one, two, three kind of pivots above the current price, which hopefully can get us back up to the back us up to the upside. We do have some divergence coming down where you can see prices making lower lows, but the RSI is making higher lows. So potentially that is kind of what's playing out over here. So overall, Tesla's where it is now. I've got to sign the shares. I can't sell calls. I can't get out of these shares because I'm withdrawing the income. What I might consider doing is if let's say I made $3,000 for the month, I might say I'll only take out 2,500 and leave 500 in reserve to potentially bring this down slightly because otherwise I'm just going to be bag holding these 300 shares, which is ideally not what I want to do in this scenario. So that's Tesla. Let me just get the Meta chart up here before we go into it. Meta again. What we've got, it's a lot of things going on here. So we have a covered call and a put on Meta. So we were assigned 100 shares at $155, and we sold in week 12 a covered call for 140, which we bought back for $1 in week 13. And what's interesting is I managed to roll this covered call up to 144 for $261. So when you looked at the options chain for Meta for week 13, which is this week that I'm currently recording this in, week 14, sorry, um, the implied volatility was going nuts because Meta released earnings. They actually release it today after the bell, actually, as I'm recording this on a Wednesday, the 26th of October. Um, the volatility was absolutely insane. So I was not going to give up the opportunity to roll my strike upwards as Meta was actually declining. So I've actually taken that opportunity to roll up on that cover call. And then we've got this put over here, which again, I used the implied volatility to roll this down and out by another week. And as you can see here, we managed to roll this down by $9, which is quite a big move, and to still achieve um, a $55 credit on there. So, to gain money to reduce the strike by $9 is absolutely fantastic. So, again, similar to Meta for this week, Meta was up 6% at 137. Pre-market, we're down 4%, and that's mainly down to Google reporting earnings, not reporting the best earnings. As you can see here with Google, Google is down 6.4% pre-market as well, with Google being an advertising company ultimately as well, and Meta predominantly being an advertising. We kind of seeing that fall through there, but doesn't bode well for Meta earnings. But we shall see what is happening. So the chart is very similar to Tesla. In terms of, we've been making lows, we've been getting that bullish divergence, and we're seeing that bullish divergence kind of play out. So if we have a look at these lines here, we've got 100 shares at $155. Here's that covered call that we talked about. This should actually say call, and this one should actually say put. So my apologies. On here. So we've got the cover call at 144, which I think will be safe with earnings. I don't think we're going to get there. This put as well. Okay, we're down 4% or whatever it was pre-market. So it'll be interesting if Meta falls again, if it drops down to these levels, which it already has done, has had lows of 122. if anything negative, this could fall below 122, which again is what it is. I'm back holding these shares at 155. If this was a portfolio, I wouldn't mind holding shares at 155 and just selling covered calls against it to reduce my break even and my cost basis. But because I'm trading, as I mentioned, ideally we don't really want to be in this kind of position. But I'm continuing to sell covered calls below the cost basis, as you've seen at the moment. Since I've been assigned, I've managed to, pick up some decent amount. When did I get assigned Tesla? I got assigned Tesla on week 11. So from week 11 and week 12, I got assigned Meta. I still managed to create a decent amount of money only because, my calls are expiring worthless and I'm picking up a good amount of money. Where I can get into trouble, which as you can kind of see more on the Tesla front, is if I let's just say this does go up to like the 230, 235, this roll will be very difficult for me to push up and out, um, because I rely so much on Tesla in terms of premiums. And if we just count how much money we've actually made, so what's that? 10.3K of the 11K has all come from Tesla. So Tesla's the one that I really can't afford price to jump up very quickly, very fast, which could lead into some trouble here. So yeah, hopefully that kind of gives you a good summary of how we're doing. The big thing now is Meta's earnings today in as part of week 14. My plan at the moment is to let this ride now until Friday. We'll see how it goes, and hopefully we'll be in a good place to be able to roll out these ones, hopefully up and strike as Tesla and Meta continue to rise, for decent amount of premium. So any questions, comment down below, drop me an email. If you have any questions, please reach out. Here's some playlists on the screen now that's going to further your options, selling options, trading, and I shall see you guys in the next video.